consume them, and I will make of thee a great what? I'm going to make of thee a great. He says, listen, Moses, this is what I want to do. I actually want to start all over. So I want to tell you what was in the mind of God. Right when Moses was on that mountain, God wanted to, with Moses, I'm going to kill everybody. I'm going to wipe everybody out. And Moses, with you, I'm going to start all over. Just leave me alone and let me do it. God, why are you doing that? He says, because I've looked in the future. I've seen these people. And I realize that these group of people that we have just brought out of Egypt, they were only good to get out of Egypt. They were only good to cross the Red Sea. But to go to where we needed to go, they don't have the mentality, they don't have the spirit to go there. He says, Moses, let me start all over. One of the worst things, one of the saddest things, I don't ever want God to look at me and say, you are only good to go from Egypt to the wilderness. It actually takes a completely different mentality to go from the wilderness to Canaan land. The individuals that went over into Canaan land never knew what slavery was. But those who died in the wilderness, they were so fresh on where they came from. And then I began to realize, as God is moving each and every one of us, you're going to hit a point on the mountain where you're not going to know what's going on. And what happens is, when you're ever in an environment or a situation where it is not familiar, by human nature, you always revert back to what's comfortable. It's very difficult. I was talking to a gentleman in gym. He was actually a trainer, and he was talking about that he only had a little bit to go to reach his goal. He only had a little bit to go to reach his goal. And he said, you know what the sad thing is? He said, we can come week in and week out. He said, but there's just one little thing that I know that if I can just change and do, it would make a big difference. And he says, you know, the majority of the people in here, there is actually just one thing that if you would just switch your mind and change that habit. There's one habit right now that each and every one of you, if you could just change. And you say, I know I need to do this, I know I need to do that, but we never get around to doing it. There are some people, there is a doctor right now with high blood pressure, and he's on the verge of dying. He's really, really sick, but he gives the best advice for health. There are some great people who can be able to tell you, hey, listen, if you do this and you do that, and they can give the greatest seminars and they give the best advice, but they themselves don't find a way to do it because you know what? It's hard changing your mind. It's hard flipping that switch over. It is very difficult to go from here to there. So there was a gentleman who lived in a foreign country, and he decided to come to America. And when he decided to come to America, he was so excited. So one of the things that he wanted to do is he wanted to tour America. And so he would go up and down. And so it got about 9:30 at night. And he got so enthralled in seeing America, and he got so captured just looking at the different places in this new place. But about 9:30 at night, he started to sweat and he started to get real nervous. He started to look around and he found a cab, and he ran to the cab and he said, sir, you gotta help me. You gotta rush me back to my hotel. And the gentleman says, you know, okay, I'll take you, but what's the rush? He said, we gotta go right now. We gotta go right. It's almost 10 o'clock and I'm gonna be late and I'm gonna get in trouble. I gotta get back to my hotel right now. And as he was talking to the gentleman picked up and realized, he said, sir, it's gonna be okay. He said, what you don't realize, this is America. See, in America, we don't have a curfew. See, and where you came from, you would be arrested if you were on the streets past the community's curfew. He says, you're in America now, but you're still operating like you're over there. And maybe one of our difficulties is God can bring you to a new place, but God won't force you to change your mind. You can have several bad and negative things that can happen in your life. And you ever had something negative happen in your life and immediately you say, you know what, I need to change? Have you ever had something that just hits you and certain things just start falling apart? Have you ever been at work and you start seeing certain signs, you start looking in your environment and you start realizing if we don't make a change real soon, something really, really bad is going to happen? And God can change your environment, but God won't force you to change your mind. God can move you halfway across the country, but you can still be operating like you're a slave.